Where said you were?
She asked me if we knew. I didn't know I had.
Okay. Because she told me she was like, guys,
Well, just a little miscommunication, but that's okay.
Okay. You're gracious enough. It'll be fine.
I'm not good under pressure.
Okay. This meeting first, so we call it. Get the new office.
The pledge of allegiance.
Save the Elkhart promise for the board meeting itself.
So it's 3 different meetings.
Yes.
We have to do the pledge. Oh, wait, or do I have
No,
to?
just call to order. On me, on this board finance meeting.
Oh.
She's here.
She's here.
She's in the hallway.
She's on the hallway then.
That's kind of the same guy. Kind of weird to not be so loud.
I know, it's so sad.
Yeah.
We miss you up here, Rocky. It's weird seeing you in the audience.
Campus with you, right? Right here.
I'm a little concerned that you're sitting out there.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order if you want to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Doug Thorne has a special presentation for
I do
everybody.
have it. Well, I'm not sure if it's a special presentation, but it's an opportunity for 3 board members who were recently elected to be sworn in to begin their term. And so I would ask Mrs. Mullen, Mr. Wyman, Mr. Burnett,
Woo-hoo.
to stand up, and Sarah Nelson, who is a notary, will notarize the documents that are also before you, but I'd ask each of you to repeat this oath after me. You don't have to raise your right hand or anything, but I, the undersigned,
I,
I,
the
the
undersigned,
undersigned,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana
and the laws of the United States and the State of Indiana,
and the laws of the United States and the State of Indiana,
and I will faithfully execute the duties of my office
and I will faithfully execute the duties of my office
as a member of this governing body,
as a member of this governing body,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank
You have
you.
all finally become official members of the school board. And I
Bring
look
this
forward to
up.
working with you.
And this, written with some of my favorite words, America, God, Constitution, absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely, serving my Lord for our children.
And now I'm going to sit down because you all have another business item, which is
Well-
election of officers.
Do any of the newly elected board members have anything they want to say? But make sure you speak into the mic. You'll hear me say that a lot.
I am very grateful for this opportunity to serve, and I look forward to working alongside the superintendent as well as my fellow board members. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm also very excited for this. It was a little more than what I was expecting coming into it, but I think I'll come out the other end better for it. Look forward to working with everybody here and helping the kids out in the long run.
I'm back.
No,
Here we go again. Let's do this. Make
Well-
our system the best ever.
Well, I appreciate, or the board, the community, everybody appreciates your willingness to serve. The board is happy to have you guys, happy that Kelly is back, and I look forward to working with you guys, getting to know you, and making some good decisions for this district.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything to say to the meeting? Okay,
Welcome.
all right. Do you want to do the next? So we will be electing board officers today for this year. Is there a motion?
Yes, I would like to put, to motion to, have Daisy remain as president, Troy Scott remain as vice president, and Doug Weaver remain as secretary for this next year.
I second.
Is there any discussion from the board? Is there any questions or comments from the audience? All right. Oh, I'm used to this loud voice coming from the side. It's weird not having it.
They said the smile. I think we might have done one.
Come on, vote.
I can't figure out what
Come on, vote.
Did I forget something, Rocky?
it is.
To nominate officers, it should be in their first name, not nicknames.
Don't do that, Rocky. Do not do that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
You guys will catch on quick, any little weird inside jokes we have. You'll get it real quick.
I'm back.
You are back, Doug.
Indiana law requires, I'm not gonna move up this keyboard, so I stop triggering it every few seconds here with my notepad. Disclosure of conflicts of interest by the board members. We have 3 board members who have disclosed conflicts of interest, and you'll all have copies of the documents you need to sign before you. Casey Davis, Troy Scott, and Doug Weaver, all 3 of these board members are on our health insurance and our health and dental insurance plan, and actions that they might take to approve changes to the fringe benefit packages for all of our employees could affect their insurance premiums. And so I'd ask that you accept those disclosures of conflicts of interest. And I can sit down and discuss.
Okay, thank you.
And turn it over to Mr. Scott.
Taller chairs than I can get out of here.
Okay, the resolution that you have before you is our normal one for the organizational meeting. It names yours truly as the treasurer, it names the deputy treasurer, the charge for copy fee. Important one is the officers and members of the Board of Finance shall be the same as the officers and members of the Board of School Trustees. So when we get to the next meeting, that applies to that. It also sets compensation for board members, cash management provider, legal counsel, the newspapers that we put legal notices in. It adjusts the mileage rate each year. The IRS did up the mileage rate 3 cents for 2023. Hopefully we won't see another mid-year correction like last year. And then bond amounts for various positions. So with that, Madam President, I would ask for board action to approve this resolution.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion from the board? Is there any questions or comments from the audience? Can you come up to the microphone?
Sure.
Please.
Could you clarify for the public what school board members get in compensation? I get asked that a lot, and so I know
Okay.
that question's out there, so I think it'd be helpful just for the public to know that.
Okay. Dr. Tarr, do you want to answer that?
Sure. So in the resolution, the salary for board members will be set at $2,000. And then there is a per diem rate for $50 for other meetings. So board members make $2,000 a year, just with 3 zeros.
Only 3
Only
3
zeros.
And that does adhere to Indiana code.
Is there any other questions or comments from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. So
so we can close the organizational meeting, Madam President, and open the Board of Finance annual meeting. This is a once-a-year discussion.
Meeting adjourned, and we can start the next meeting.
Okay, so the annual Board of Finance meeting occurs in January by law. There's one motion that we have to approve, and then we have two reports of information following that. So, Madam President, I'm asking for approval from the Board of Finance to authorize the treasurer of Elkhart Community Schools to invest funds based on Indiana code.
Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Is there any discussion from the board? Are there any questions or comments from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, the next item of business is review investment history, and then the investment policy is stipulated by Indiana code. That the board policy is in your materials. We had no outside investment activity in 2022 as we continue to use a sweep account at Lake City Bank. To give you a frame of reference, because you've seen in the news, the federal funds rate has increased dramatically, trying to fight inflation. December 21st, 21, December 31st, 2021, the interest rate return that we were getting was 0.48%. Our agreement with Lake City Bank is 40 basis points, that's 0.4%, above the federal funds rate. At the end of December 2022, that had risen to 4.52%. So for the calendar year 2021, we made $137,000 on our investments. And in 2022, that had risen to $606,246. We do compare that with other places to invest. There's a thing called the Hoosier Fund, which is the Indiana Local Government Investment Pool. Its rate is currently at 4.3%, so less than we're receiving on our sweep account from the city. Another option is CDs that you spread out over time, but we continue to monitor those to see if we're getting the best rate. So that concludes my report on the investment history and policy. Are there any questions?
Is there any questions or comments from the audience?
Exciting stuff. Okay, and the final item that I have for this meeting is fiscal indicators. The state of Indiana, when Gary schools got into financial trouble, and then later Muncie schools, they formed the Distress Unit Appeals Board. And some of my colleagues were able to participate in coming up with fiscal indicators so they could watch all schools to try to ensure that they didn't have another Gary that the state of Indiana had to deal with. And so you see those charts as reflected there on the DUAB website and reflect positive improvement for Elkhart schools. Interestingly enough, following the failure of our last referendum effort, that triggers DUAB to reach out and contact the school and want to know their financial plan. And so the superintendent and I had an opportunity to talk to the folks at DUAB. Interesting to me is that it took them so long to get to us, right? We failed in May of 21, they contact us in November of 22. But had a satisfactory conversation. No further information is required of us. You're in good standing with DUAB, so I just wanted to report that and answer any questions you might have about the charts and try to make sense of what they've shared.
Yeah, I have one question on the annual deficit and surplus. You've got the green and blue bars, and then you got a gray bar running horizontally across it. What's the gray bar?
The gray bar is kind of the cumulative effect of the surplus or deficit. So you can see it's rising there.
Okay, all right.
So.
Okay, so that represents that little gold bar.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions or comments from the audience? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
We will take a break until 7 o'clock and we'll start the regular board meeting.
Oh,
It's just so there's nothing control stuff.
So I had a friend in college named Dana Judy. Her name was Dana Judy,
Yeah.
so she had two.
Right, it just confuses everything.
Well, you can, so you can have to go with your
Thank you. Wait, Jimmy Bob.
Okay, I'm gonna call the board meeting to order. We don't need to do the Pledge of Allegiance again since we already did it, so I'll just go straight into the Elkhart Promise. Every student is known by name, challenged and supported by highly effective staff, and in partnership with the community will graduate career college ready and life ready. There is an invitation to speak protocol. You will have the opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. Dora, if you want to hold up that banner white, hold that up for me. There's a sheet in the back. Just fill that out, give it to Dora. You'll have 3 minutes to speak at the end of the meeting. After every agenda item, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. So first up, we're gonna recognize our favorite board member. Do you want to call his name, Troy?
Yes, I'd like to call Roscoe L. Infield Jr., please, to come forward.
Oh, shoot. Do I need to go around? No. Dang it, I can't go around and speak into the microphone. So we want to recognize
Roscoe L. Infield Jr.
That's Royal Enfield to you.
Yes, yes.
Rocky, we are really gonna miss you. Rocky has served for 4 years. I had the pleasure of serving for 2 years, and I can say that Rocky's bark is worse than his bite. He is just a big teddy bear, even though he sounds very scary. He has a good heart, and he always had a heart for the students and the people and doing what's right and speaking up for what's right. The people in the community really loved Rocky. They trusted him. He always had people coming to him, sharing their concerns because they believed he would do the right thing. And what I saw on the board, he always did the right thing for the right reasons. And he never bit if we didn't agree or if there was pressure. Rocky had the courage to stand up for what he believed in. And I appreciate that. And that's what makes a good board member. And that's why we will miss you so much. I was very sad when you decided not to run. And I even appreciated the way Rocky corrected me all the time during the board meeting. I appreciated that because I knew it was coming from the right place. So I never got offended, Rocky. So we love you and we'll miss you. And I'll give anybody else, any of the other board members, a chance to say something before Roscoe sits down.
Okay, then, Daisy. That was for my wife.
Yeah.
You don't need to say anything. You guys said enough nice stuff the last time.
Yeah,
I said enough nice stuff the last time.
everybody can go back
Okay, up next are the consent items. There a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there any discussion from the board?
Okay, so we have some donations. We have an anonymous donation of $200 given to Oslo Elementary School to pay negative lunch balances. We have a donation of $704 from Mary Church to pay negative balances at Bristol, Pinewood, Eastwood, Daly, Beezer, Riverview, Cleveland, Northside, Westside, Cameron. We have a donation anonymously of $940, which was given to pay negative food balances. And then next is, I thought about how we would go right past the personnel report, and we don't, some people do not see this, and we have some people that retired that have a lot of years in service. And Thomas, which was the WBPE Development Director, he's retiring after 10 years. We have Lori Ritchie and Steve Starzik. Lori has 34 years of service. Steve has 33 years of service, and they will both be retiring. We had an administration appointment, which was David Bergen over at Bristol. So there's some great things in the personnel report that we forget to look at, but mostly when you think about how many years of service they have, and for the personnel report to just kind of go by without acknowledging them, I think is sad. So thanks to each one of them for all of their service.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion from the board? Is there any questions or comments from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Not sure who's doing the instructional report.
I am providing just a brief update. We are in the process, as the sheet in front of you indicates, looking at the SAVAS middle of the year elementary assessments. And Dr. Higginson is compiling that data, is about halfway through it at this point, and we'll have an update on those assessments at the January 24th instructional report. The other item we would like to highlight is that right at the end of December, shortly before the holiday break, the state of Indiana advertises and gives out the graduation rate for the previous year. In case people don't know, the graduation rate is based on a group of students that are all considered freshmen as of October 1, the year they all become freshmen, and they form what's called a cohort. And that cohort travels through high school together, and you have students coming in and out of the cohort due to move-ins, due to move-outs, and various reasons. And that group is considered your graduating class when they reach their senior year. When we have graduation in June, late May or June, depending on the time of year, that is not the official close of the graduation window. Graduation can also be for any student who might earn their diploma through the summer all the way up to October 1st. So the state of Indiana collects from your graduating class and any students who receive their diploma that summer, your final numbers of graduates. And so that number that we received in December was based on the fact that up through October, 4 years after they entered as a freshman cohort, Elkhart High School had 93.4% of their students graduate. And so that was the second highest graduation rate in the county, and is well worth recognizing. And so to explain a little bit more about all the efforts that go into that, how they track that cohort, Carrie Anderson, Gail Draper, Frank Kurth, and Krista Hennings will all be presenting in the instructional report in January to provide more detail around the things that they're doing there. And we also have in our teaching and learning plan 2 learning measures or 2 data points in our dashboard about freshmen on track to graduate and our overall graduation rate. So they will have updated those mid-year numbers to give us a sense of where they are on track regarding those dashboard statistics. So that'll be something for them to share January 24th.
Is there any discussion from the board? Is there any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, Doug.
On January 5th, the administration made a request to the Board of School Trustees that they consider approval of a resolution authorizing the superintendent to issue pursuant to Indiana Code notice that the governing body is considering a preliminary decision not to renew the contract of an assistant superintendent, principal or assistant principal. This request was related to the issuance of notice of preliminary consideration to non-renew the contract of an individual employee of the school corporation serving in one of the above described positions. After further investigation by the administration of matters related to that particular employee, a decision was made that such action would not be appropriate, and I am therefore requesting that this proposed resolution be removed from the agenda.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there any discussion from the board? Is there any questions or comments from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Sherman.
Hello. Good evening. On behalf of the administration and the calendar committee, I would like to present to you the proposed 23-24 school calendar for your initial consideration. I would like to point out a couple of things on this proposed calendar, just in case you have not noticed those things. First of all, this new calendar is pushing the start of school down 1 week from what this year was. When we had discussions about this, the committee, after conferring with their different stakeholder groups, thought that most groups would be happier with that extended week in August to get prepared for the start of the school year. We did a look at some of our neighboring school districts to see when schools was starting for them. And you might be interested to know that Penn and Goshen are starting that same week that we're proposing. Middlebury and Fairfield are starting the week before, like we are doing this week. And Concord has not posted their calendar for 23-24 yet. So they're about half one way and half the other way in terms of that. By pushing that down a week, that means the end of first quarter is pushed down a week, which then, because of when grades are due, pushes down parent-teacher conferences and therefore fall break 1 week later. Winter break is the same time frame as this year, as is the rest of the calendar, but that does mean school will be completed after Memorial Day, but it still ends on May 31st. Other than that, all of the other proposed components of the school year are the same, such as proposed e-learning days, the end of the other quarters, spring break. So there really aren't any changes along those lines. So this is the first look that you have on it, and we will bring it back 2 weeks from now for your approval.
I've got some questions.
Sure.
Okay, first, e-learning, if I counted right, we had 6 e-learning days.
Yes.
And the state has said you only get 3, so how are we doing that?
That's how we did it through the waiver.
Yes.
But that was supposed to be like a one-time, it's not one, so
No,
we'll go for a waiver again?
We could go for it successively. The time we did it this year was through the 1003 waiver prior to understanding what we could do through our relationship with the CCISD consortium. So either of those avenues would be available to be able to do those again. And those would not count against the 3 days that are allowed otherwise.
So are those 3 days or those 6 days for professional development, are those synchronous or are they asynchronous? Is part of it going to be synchronous or are they all asynchronous?
The 6 days this year are all asynchronous, so that, and we're able to do that because of the waiver.
Right.
The three makeup days would be asynchronous, but any days beyond that would have to be synchronous.
Okay. And then,
I'm sorry, can you
Wait.
explain?
Oh, sorry.
the difference
Sorry.
between synchronous and asynchronous?
So
E-learning days.
asynchronous means that materials are posted for students and they can do them at any time they want. So asynchronous meaning not at a certain time. So students aren't required to log on at a certain time to do the work or take part in a Google Meet or any of that. So they can do the work, providing flexibility. It also takes into account whether students may or may not have assistants at home to help them. So it provides that flexibility, and if they have access, internet access. Synchronous means that they have to log in for a certain time of the day. So for a student to have a day count as a school day, so this gets to Ann's point, we're only allowed 3 days that can be asynchronous, and then if we get beyond that, then those days have to count as regular days. So there, at least half the day has to be synchronous. So students have to log in at particular times to receive instruction or take part in activities that are conducted in real time with the teachers.
Okay, so on an asynchronous day, when the student can log in anytime they want, is that just for that day or is that for an extended period of time?
So they have that day to do it, and then if there are issues with accessibility or technology issues or may not have assistance, they have 5 days to make that work out.
And is there a minimum participation that's required for an e-learning day as far as attendance, and do we track that?
We do track, so if students are engaging in that work and complete that work, then that counts as being in attendance on an asynchronous day. On a synchronous day, attendance is taken by logging in at the real time. But there is no expectation of participation at a certain level. When e-learning first came out, there were these thresholds that you were trying to shoot for. Now it just goes into your average attendance rate for your school. So if you're having really poor attendance, it's going to hurt that metric It appears on the dashboard and is something that the schools judged on.
Thank you.
Why do we want 6 e-learning days?
For all of the work that we're doing related to the work on standards and common assessments and the curricular work that we're doing, that provides the ability for us to be able to get that work accomplished.
And I'm only asking that because you're data driven and you look at different studies. Studies are showing that, with every e-learning day, it's not sufficient learning. So are we putting our kids behind by doing 6 e-learning days? Technically, when we don't really have.
We're always trying to strike that balance of how can we get the time to give people to do the work that needs to be done to do that effective instruction and to have the standards and the materials, and especially when we're looking at staff turnover that we're having, we have to have those opportunities to be able to train our people and work with our people and to work on the craft of being those good teachers.
I've got a couple more questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
It shows here that the SAT is on March 6th, and that's an e-learning staff professional development day. Is this the day that all the juniors take the SAT?
Yes, the juniors will come in person that day.
So if they don't have transportation, are we providing busing that day for juniors, or how does that work?
Yes, that was the discussion.
That was the decision, okay. And then I noticed that there wasn't any parent conferences in the spring.
Yeah, we have not done that for many years.
Is there a reason why we do not do spring
Yes.
parent conferences?
Attendance, parent attendance was, it got so low that we felt it wasn't something that parents wanted anymore.
And then my last question at this point, with the calendar being a balance, we've got 84 days in the first semester and
Yes.
96. So that's kind of a big difference. So
Yes.
what do you do with this? What do you do with the secondary schools? I mean,
Yeah.
that's
We talked about that, and that's the reason why we did not bring the calendar actually to you in December, because we were having that discussion with high school, because it's really the high school that has that issue more than any other. And that would only be those classes that are semester-long classes, for example, a government class, something like that, an economics class maybe. And after consultation with high school administration and the teachers in those subject areas, they said they could make it work. And they furthermore said, because of the conflicts with graduation around Memorial Weekend that we faced last year, this was far better than doing what we did last year from their perspective of trying to align graduation and all of that. So for them, they actually preferred this one.
okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, just a couple more things. Did you talk about changing bell time, or are you keeping that the same?
This committee doesn't deal
Okay,
with bell
doesn't deal with
times.
that, okay, doesn't deal with that, okay.
Is there any other discussion from the board? Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, thank you, Dr. Shepherd.
Thank you.
Dora, do we have any? Brian?
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Dahlheim. My name's Brian Prue. I'm an ECS employee at Transportation where I drive a bus. I wanted to speak tonight for two specific things. Number one, I wanted to give the board a thank you, the administration a thank you, and IT staff a thank you. As we went through, they've worked hard, they've implemented, they have hired a supervisor, and they have seamlessly transitioned into a stop finder app. The things that are concerning, as we know with a new app, it is not necessarily without glitches. Some of the glitches, two of them I'm going to point out tonight. The stop finder app utilization rate as of 2 weeks ago was reported at just over 18%. With the use of more marketing from our ECS marketing staff, potential flyers, bulk mailing, mentoring, and our bus drivers, putting it on our website could maybe benefit and put that information out to the people. Maybe even some testimonials of people that are already using the Stop Finder app so that they can see firsthand what it's been doing for them. I think that you have 90+ bus drivers that can actually be mouthpieces for this program. As of November 8th, we have not been told an update as to what schools have been brought online. At that meeting, we were told Bristol, Riverview, and Eastwood were online. After going in and inquiring within the last 5 days, I have found that all elementary, all middle schools are online with the Stop Finder app. The only 2 buildings that are not is the freshman and the high school. I want to quickly bring up, as my time is limited, a situation that happened 29th November. Around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, law enforcement from the county were sent to County Road 5 and County Road 2 for a standoff with a suspect. During that time, vehicular traffic was stopped. The law enforcement would not let them in, which affects our buses. Ladies and gentlemen of this board, we can do better. A Stop Finder app could be utilized to send them push notifications to the parents to let them know that we need to have an alternative pickup point or a drop-off point. It's scary. We need to look at the time for the Stop Finder staff, because right now, when this happened, the Stop Finder staff was already gone for the day. Why are we not looking at bringing in these staff and have them work dispatch hours, which is 5 to 9 in the morning and 1 to 5 in the afternoon? Thank you.
That was the only one door. Do you have anything to talk about?
No, I'd just like to welcome all staff and students back for the new year, and again, to give my congratulations to the high school. And really, we know a graduation rate and getting students there is a K-12 process. So to all school employees and everybody who works into our students, pours into them, does all the follow-up, keeps after those students who may not be on path to graduate. I want to congratulate and thank the high school for the work that they put into getting us that graduation rate.
Is there anything from the board?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the new board members for, coming and, campaigning and, winning seats, and also for our returning board member. I would also like to stress the importance of the oath of office that you just had taken. And it talks about the Constitution and, the state laws and stuff like that. Us 7 up here are the only 7 with this entire school corporation that are sworn to that oath. Okay, so it's up to us to uphold it. And I think it's worth our time to come back and revisit that on a regular occasion to say, okay, are we upholding what their oath of office actually is? Okay, I know there's a lot of things out here that people want us to have other allegiances to, but this is the oath that you've sworn to take and stuff like that. So you want to keep that first and foremost in your mind. I myself have taken it 3 times, and if my wife lets me, I might take it a 4th time. We'll see about that, but anyhow, keep that in your mind, and thank you so much for doing what you do. Appreciate it.
Anything else from the board? Meeting adjourned.